Looking to get back up to speed on Jurassic World before checking out Rebirth, the history of the iconic series is full of deadly dinosaurs, corporate sabotage, and a whole lot of chaos. Just beware, spoilers ahead for the first 6 films. Welcome to Jurassic World. Naturally, the story of Jurassic World begins back when dinosaurs ruled the Earth over 65 million years ago. Countless dinos lived and died long before the humans took their first steps, leaving their marks on the world forever to their fossilized bones. That said, it's not bones that enable the technology that brings once extinct organisms to life. They say that a butterfly flapping its wings in the past can have dramatic effects on the future. But instead of a butterfly effect, Jurassic World has a mosquito effect. In the Cretaceous era, a mosquito sucks some blood from an unfortunate dinosaur and immediately flies into sticky tree sap and dies. The resin hardens into amber over the millennia, preserving the DNA of both the mosquito and its last meal. That amber and its contents prove crucial in 2 men's efforts to restore the majestic creatures to their former glory. Big Dino DNA. The Jurassic World franchise is obviously known mostly for its dinosaurs, but it's also a long-running story of cutthroat corporate intrigue. The dino industry begins with 2 extremely wealthy men, John Hammond and Benjamin Lockwood, who share a dream of seeing them resurrected. To see their efforts through, they hire geneticists Dr. Henry Wu and establish a company they call InGen. Sure enough, their efforts pay off and they finally manage to clone a dino in 1986. With their combined fortunes, Hammond and Lockwood are able to lease several islands near Costa Rica. They do further research and build a park so they can display their creatures. The only thing they have left to do is bring in visitors. So in 1993, a small group is assembled for a trial run before the proper grand opening. Paleontologist Alan Grant, paleobotanist Ellie Sattler, pediatrician Ian Malcolm, and lawyer Dado Gennaro all arrive on Isla Nublar, as well as Hammond's grandchildren, Lex and Tim. But of course, there are other companies that want to get in on the dino resurrection payday. Park employee Dennis Nedry meets Lewis Dodgson of InGen's rival company, Biosyn, and agrees to seal the embryos of all 15 dinosaur species on the island in exchange for $1.5 million. He's even given a special barber-style cam with a hidden compartment to keep them cooled and concealed. Are you planning to beat security? Oh, I'll give an 18-minute window. 18 minutes, your company catches up on 10 years of research. This meeting is what kicks off the first disaster to befall the purveyors of the park, but it's definitely not the last. You don't have to be a Jurassic Park expert to know what comes next. When Nedry disables the park security system as a storm hits Isla Nublar, it gives the Tyrannosaurus Rex the opportunity to get past the electric fence and attack the visitors. Only Nedry has the courage to reactivate it, which means that it's lost forever when he gets spat on and killed by a thrilled Dilophosaurus. You didn't say the magic word. Rixie gives the humans a hard time until she inadvertently saves him during the confrontation with a group of velociraptors. 4 people lose their lives during the first Isla Nublar incident: Gennaro, Nedry, Chief Engineer Ray Arnold, and Game Warden Robert Muldoon. Gennaro has been present to sign off on a safety inspection, so needless to say, investor confidence in InGen is shaken. Likewise, Hammond finally comes to understand that humans probably shouldn't play God and recreate potentially dangerous species from eons ago. After careful consideration, I decided not to endorse your park. Around this time, Hammond also finds out that Lockwood is supporting his daughter Charlotte's attempts to clone a human as a way to get around her infertility. The once close business partners split up to their differences in opinion, leaving Hammond to take full control of InGen until he loses it, that is. Despite not being thrilled with the idea of making a sequel, Steven Spielberg returned to the director's chair for The Lost World: Jurassic Park. The first Jurassic follow-up takes place 4 years after the events of the original film, in 1997. After a young girl is attacked by a group of Consternafis on Isla Sorna, the island where the dinosaurs were cloned, Hammond is ousted from his position as CEO of InGen and replaced by his nephew Peter Ludlow. And like his uncle, Ludlow views dinosaurs purely as corporate assets to be exploited, which is why Hammond calls up Ian Malcolm and convinces him to help document the wildlife on the island. I'm not making the same mistakes again. No, you're making all new ones. It's unclear why Hammond wants a chaos-loving mathematician to join the team, but it's certainly one way to bring a fan-favorite character back to the series. Either way, Ian reluctantly agrees after learning that his paleontologist girlfriend, Sarah Harding, took the job as well. They're joined by documentarian Nick, equipment specialist Eddie, and Ian's stowaway daughter, Kelly, because it's not a Jurassic movie unless there's a child in danger. During their time contending with Tyrannosaurus parents in Isla Sorna's Site B, Ian, Sarah, and their allies are horrified to learn that Ludlow intends to relocate the remaining dinosaurs to a zoo in San Diego. Ian's beloved chaos theory dictates that what can go wrong does go wrong. And sure enough, the male T-Rex ends up rampaging to the California city after the ship carrying it crashes. They're able to sedate it and ship it back to Isla Sorna, which is declared an official nature preserve. But not before Ludlow is killed during the rampage. They can't skip the generation, so Nate, I'm sure your kids are having shock shacks. Next comes Jurassic Park 3 in 2001, which takes place 4 years after The Lost World and 8 years after the original Jurassic Park. It's the lowest grossing installment in the franchise by far, as well as the shortest. Mostly remembered nowadays for that dream sequence of the talking raptor. Alan. Oh, Alan. After the deaths of Ludlow via dinosaur and Hammond via old age, InGen is in dire straits. Thankfully, or maybe not so thankfully, they're saved when the company is purchased by the Masrani Global Corporation. As they figure out how to rebuild, Isla Sorna sits unguarded, at least by humans. After agreeing to help wealthy couple Paul and Amanda Kirby get a look at the island from the air, Alan Grant is shanghaied into a ground expedition to help find their son Eric. He went missing 8 weeks earlier during a parasailing trip. Alan and his new assistant, Billy Brennan, are forced to keep a band of bumbling amateurs in line so they don't do anything to get themselves killed, which is hard when running around and screaming often prove deadly. Their greatest threats, a Spinosaurus, which proves its might when it defeats a T-Rex in combat. An abandoned InGen compound proves to be not so much safer than the outside, as it's become home to a group of velociraptors. Fortunately though, that same compound has resources that help keep Eric alive long enough to be reunited with his parents. The Chotley group is able to stay alive until the US military arrives, courtesy of Eddie Sattler coming in clutch. That's the end of the original Jurassic Park trilogy, but the story of Hammond of Lockwood's lasting legacy is far from over. The original Jurassic Park on Isla Nublar was obviously a catastrophic failure, but that won't stop Simon Masrani, CEO of Masrani Global Corporation, from trying to make it work, claiming that a dinosaur park was Hammond's dying wish. With help from InGen's Dr. Wu, Simon is able to make massive strides in his mission after the turn of the millennium. Some dinosaurs from the original park on Site B are recaptured and relocated to the new location on Isla Nublar, while others are created specifically to live in captivity. Simon is eventually able to do what Hammond never could, opening Jurassic World to the public in 2005. He chooses a young woman named Claire Deering to be the park's operations manager. Vic Hoskins is made the head of InGen's security division, and Navy veteran Owen Grady is brought on board as an expert in animal behavior. Jurassic World thrives and expands under the leadership of Simon and Claire, introducing plenty of new dinosaur species and corporate sponsors over the years. After 10 years though, Claire claims that visitors have somehow become bored by normal dinosaurs. 20 years ago, the extinction's right up there with magic. Easiest kids look at a Stegosaurus-looking elephant from the city zoo. Dr. Wu is given the go-ahead to begin work on creating dinosaur hybrids, a decision that proves to be extremely foolish. After some trial and error, his efforts produce a genetically improved dino that's bigger, stronger, and smarter than any other. They call it the Indominus Rex, and there's nothing Hoskins wants more than to see it and the other dinosaurs weaponized for the US military. Fortunately for Claire, everything happens to go to hell while her nephews Zach and Gray are visiting the park, because it's not a Jurassic movie unless there's a child in danger. Again, in Jurassic World, which picks up in 2015, the park staff are all busy preparing to unveil the Indominus to the public before the brothers can enjoy any family bonding with their aunt. The hybrid dino uses its camouflage abilities to escape its enclosure and wreak havoc on the rest of the park. Owen argues that the Indominus can only be stopped with lethal force, but Simon has no interest in destroying the new exhibit he spent so much money to create. He refuses to evacuate the island, sending a team out to tranquilize it. None of them make it out alive. Simon finally realizes that the Indominus is much more than he bargained for. After all, why would the geneticists give it the ability to camouflage itself if it's meant to be on display? I never am begging or authorize you to do this. You did. Simon finally authorizes lethal force, but it's too little too late. After the Indominus breaks into the aviary that houses the island's flying dinos, pterosaurs smash into Simon's helicopter and kill everyone on board. The island is fully in chaos at this point, so Hoskins takes advantage of the commotion and takes control of the effort to stop the Indominus. His plan, weaponizing more dinosaurs, of course. He forces Owen to send a Velociraptor squad he's been training to track the Indominus, only for them to accept the larger dino as their new alpha when they recognize its raptor DNA. Dr. Wu, who's been collaborating with Hoskins, is taken off-site before one of Owen's raptors turns on Hoskins and kills her. Fortunately, Owen manages to get the raptors back on his side. It's only thanks to teamwork that the Indominus is defeated, and not just human teamwork. When Claire gets park employee Larry Quivers to let Rex out of her cage, she and the raptors keep the Indominus busy until a Mosasaurus emerges from the water and drags the monster beneath the surface. Not only does Masrani Global lose its CEO during the Indominus' rampage, but it also loses hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements that it pays out to victims and their families. The Jurassic World complex is all but abandoned, and as depicted in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, a volcano on Isla Nublar threatens to make dinosaurs extinct once again. Claire has founded the Dinosaur Protection Group after Jurassic World closed, is contacted by Benjamin Lockwood and informed of a plan to reactivate the dino tracking system and relocate as many of them as possible before the volcano erupts. Owen is brought on board as well to locate Blue, formerly a member of his pack and now the last living velociraptor. They're also joined by IT expert Franklin Webb and the dinosaur veterinarian Zia Rodriguez, and they link up with mercenary Ken Wheatley to Squadron. Once they land, the group gets the trackers back online and locates Blue, but the raptor attacks one of Wheatley's men and gets shot in the struggle. Wheatley tranquilizes Owen and leaves with his private army, taking Zia hostage and forcing her to keep Blue alive. I wrote things. That animal died. I shoot you. You're gonna take care of her. When Owen finally comes to, he has much more urgent things to think about. Primarily the volcano that's just erupted and the stampede of terrified dinosaurs running away from it. Owen, Claire, and Franklin manage to evade the disaster and stow away aboard the mercenaries' cargo ship, soon coming to realize the true nature of the scheme they've become embroiled in. As it turns out, the dinosaurs taken from Isla Nublar aren't going to a new island or a nature preserve. They're going to Lockwood's estate, where they're scheduled to be sold to the highest bidder on the black market. The crown jewel of the illicit auction is the Indoraptor, another hybrid courtesy of Dr. Wu, combining the DNA of the Indominus Rex with the DNA of a Velociraptor. The Indominus was already part raptor, but the Indoraptor is apparently even more raptor, half the size, twice as sadistic, and most importantly, much easier to train. The auction is orchestrated by Eli Mills, manager of the Lockwood Fortune. He organizes the event behind his boss's back, only to get tattled on by Lockwood's granddaughter, Maisie, when the elderly billionaire commands his employee to stop his lights out for Lockwood. You know, I've been thinking on how it was right. It was an unholy thing that you did. As it turns out, Lockwood has some skeletons in his closet himself. We wonder how he and Hammond fell out due to the former's interest in human cloning. As it turns out, Maisie is a genetically engineered copy of Lockwood's late daughter, Charlotte. Mills locks her in her room as the auction begins, where, naturally, everything goes completely off the rails. Owen helps the Digimurloc break out of its enclosure, throwing the auction attendees into a panic and giving the Indoraptor a chance to get loose. A recently recovered Blue manages to kill the Indoraptor by pushing it through a glass roof and impaling it, but not before the new hybrid gets a taste of delicious Wheatley. As a gas leak threatens the lives of the rest of the dinosaurs, Owen and Claire must choose whether to let them all die or to open the gates and allow them to escape into the wilderness. Owen convinces Claire to keep them close, but it doesn't matter. Maisie decides for them, setting them free after realizing they're exactly like her. Thanks to the decision of one 10-year-old girl, humanity must now live alongside dinosaurs as prehistory repeats itself. We've entered a new era. Welcome to Jurassic World. Jurassic World Dominion takes place 4 years after dinosaurs reached the mainland, and the world is already a much different place. With Masrani Global and InGen no longer having the monopoly on dinosaurs, another company rises to take its place, Biosyn Genetics. That's the same Biosyn that bribed Dennis Nedry to steal InGen's embryos, leading to all the chaos in the original Jurassic Park. It seems like corporate crime does indeed pay, as Lewis Dodgson is now the CEO of the entire company. Blue is no longer the last Velociraptor, as she's asexually reproduced an offspring strain called Beta, as Claire's dinosaur protection group works to save dinos from being harmed and exploited. A new threat emerges: locusts, really big ones, with the ability to destroy entire crop yields and potentially kickstart a famine. Alinoja says that they won't eat plants that come from biosyn seeds, raising suspicions about the insect's origins. She enlists the help of her former partner in work and romance, Alan Grant, and the two discover that the locusts have indeed been genetically engineered to be more like the ones from prehistoric times. They get an invitation to visit Biosyn's dinosaur preserve, courtesy of one of their employees, Ian Malcolm, who confirmed that the company is the source of the bugs. And once again, Dr. Wu has his fingerprints all over the project. Meanwhile, Maisie and Beta are kidnapped, leading Maisie's surrogate parents, Owen and Claire, to go after her. Just like with the locusts, the man responsible is Louis Dorson. So they make their way to the Biosyn facility as well after a confrontation in Malta, thanks to sympathetic pilot Kayla Watts. As Maisie learns while being kept underground at Biosyn, the genetic editing that she received years ago might just make her the key to ending diseases once thought to be incurable. At the same time, Dr. Wu is finally starting to recognize that many mistakes he's made. He thinks that Maisie's DNA might be able to stop the plague of locusts. Apparently, they were initially designed to spread more positive genetic modifications to crops, but the project failed. The Dodge then had to pivot. Maisie runs into Ellie and Alan in one of Biosyn's labs, and they try to make their way out of the facility and meets up with Ian, as Owen, Claire, and Kayla get their blamed by a Quetzal co-atlas on guard duty. After avoiding some more dinosaurs, the two groups finally converge, just in time to come face to face with a Giganotosaurus. It takes all 7 of them to fight it off. With all of his contingency plans exhausted, Dodgson packs his things and plans to start over with the Barbasol canister of embryos that Dennis Nedry gathered all those years ago. Unfortunately for him, his escape is thwarted when Ellie and Claire cut the power to the facility, and he suffers the same deadly fate that Nedry did, courtesy of a group of Dilophosauruses, with Biosyn's evil CEO out of the way. The good guys rescue Beta and encounter Dr. Wu, who convinces them to give him one final chance to make things right. No. Him. Not him. Not him. It's always him. Their evacuation efforts are interrupted by a fight between the Giganotosaurus and Rexy, which the latter wins with the help of the long claws of a Therizinosaurus as the heroes take to the sky. It's a happy ending. Alan and Ellie get back together, Dr. Wu stops the locust problem, and everything is back to normal, aside from the whole dinosaurs being alive again thing. The Cell story is depicted in the first 6 movies of the Jurassic World series, but there's plenty more narrative content to be dug up within the franchise. While the first 2 movies are based on Michael Crichton novels, Jurassic World also has several spin-off books for younger audiences, including the origin story, The Evolution of Claire, and the Maisie Lockwood adventures. There have also been plenty of video games, with several depicting events not shown in the mainline films. There are even 2 animated TV shows, Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, which ran for 5 seasons on Netflix from 2020 to 2022, and Jurassic World Chaos Theory, its follow-up show that started in 2024. It turns out that during the events of Jurassic World, an adventure camp for dinosaurs-loving children is taking place. As the Indominus and other dinos roam free, the campers must band together to make it out of the situation alive. It's probably not worth watching unless you're in its target demographic, but Camp Cretaceous still fills in some pretty important gaps in the series' extensive lore. If you're truly dying to know how Dodgson got a hold of the Barbasol can decades after giving it to Nedry, it might be worth looking into. Really could have used this 25 years ago. The saga of Owen Grady and Claire Dearing seems to have come to an end, but the Jurassic World franchise is moving forward with an entirely new main cast, directed by Gareth Edwards and starring Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, and Jonathan Bailey. Jurassic World Rebirth brings viewers to a mysterious third island never mentioned in any previous film. 5 years after the events of Dominion, dinosaurs are once again dying out. A team is sent to the very first InGen lab in order to obtain DNA that could save countless lives, but ferocious dinos stand in their way. Not just any dinos either. These are the genetic experiments that didn't come out quite right. Chief among them, the terrifying Distortus Rex. They link up with a stranded family along the way, because as we know, it's not a Jurassic movie unless it's a child in danger. I can guarantee your safety. More or less. More or less. Fans who love the horror movie stylings of the original Jurassic Park will probably find plenty to appreciate in Rebirth. Producer Frank Marshall hyped up the movie to Vanity Fair by saying, "You're in a new place. You don't know what's around the corner. You've got a different jungle. You've got more water. You've got higher cliffs. There's a little bit of everything that's scary." With the stakes raised and the dinosaurs more unpredictable than ever, although telling what twists and turns Jurassic World Rebirth might feature, we'll all find out for ourselves after the film hits theaters on July 2nd.